Hello and welcome back to coverage of the Season 2 Invitational here at the Apex Gaming Home Store in Caldwell, Ohio. I'm Tandy, joined by Ross Merriam, and we have 4 rounds in the books. We got 3 more rounds of Swiss to bring you, as well as the full top 8, including a best-of-5 finals. I think we're going to be going pretty late tonight. What do you think?
Yeah, sort of depends on which decks move on. We saw Four Color Mirror kind of extend that 4th round. That's what we were waiting on to finish. That did end in an unintentional draw. There was also a table of 3-0s that decided to intentionally draw. Two buddies didn't want to hand each other a loss. So a lot of awkward standings here with some draws near the top tables will make it very interesting as we progress into the later rounds of the Swiss to see who can draw in at the end and who can't. But for now, we're going to be featuring a lot of undefeated players trying to make that last push into our top 8.
All right. Well, why don't you give us a rundown of the matchup we're going to be watching next?
We're going to be starting with Ryan Winans, who we saw at the very end of the last round take down Jesse Liu and his 4-color Rhinos deck. That's what Winans is on. Playing against Michael Belfado on Izzet Murktide, our most popular deck today. And really, the decks that can beat it have been contending. The decks that can't beat it have not been contending. So we'll see how 4-color Rhinos fares in that. Rhinos our second most popular deck, but most players opting for a teamer build. Winans going for a 4-color list, and it seems to be serving him well thus far, starting with a 4-0 record.
Now, important to note, Belfado did recently play on the Pro Tour, was one of only 3 people in the whole event to go 6-0 in draft. Unfortunately, went 3-7 in constructed, but that was good enough to qualify him for the next Pro Tour in Minneapolis, so we'll see him there. Exciting to watch Pro Tour players here in Caldwell. But our players are sitting down. They're not quite ready. We're going to be cutting down there in just a second. Ross, who do you think is going to win between Murktide and Rhinos?
This is a matchup where I kind of like the 4-color build because Leyline Binding giving you a clean answer to Murktide Regent is very helpful. And Winans build does have a lot of cheap interaction for the early creatures, the DRCs and the Rogmans. He's got 4 copies of Dagon, 4 copies of Fire Ice. So I like the way his build is situated for this matchup. Also has 2 copies of Teferi Time Raveler. Great at bouncing Murktide Regent, great at stopping the counter spells, preventing you from cascading into your Rhinos. So a lot to like from the white here. So I kind of like Winans' side of it.
Okay. Well, you got to hear first. Ross picking Winans in the 4-color Rhinos to take down Murktide. Belfado, though, a competent pilot with that Murktide deck. We're going to cut on down to the match and see who takes it down. Round number 5 here, about to begin. We have only 5 undefeated players at 4-0 records. And I believe after this round, it's going to get real sloppy.
Yeah, we got 4 players at 3-0-1.
Yeah, 2 of them unintentional, 2 of them intentional. Not great.
It's going to get a little awkward. But we'll see that, play out over these next couple of rounds. For now, it's all about these Rhinos and these monkeys. It's a veritable zoo over here.
While the players are shuffling up and doing mulligans and stuff, I just want to shout out our sponsors for the event, G Fuel Energy Formula. Check out G Fuel for all of your energy drink needs. They have a lot of awesome flavors, and they are a sponsor here at the Apex Gaming Home Store. Also, shout out to Wings Etc. Grill and Pub. Me and Ross are going to be there later tonight, drinking some brews and eating some wings. It's going to be a good time. Last but not least, Ultimate Guard. Ultimate Guard has some awesome products, and they are sponsoring our event by giving us tons of swag to give out to our players. And cool swag it is. The Omni Box. Is that it? Omni Box? What's the thing? I can't remember the name of it.
Omni Hive, I think.
The Omni Hive is the prize for the winner. That thing is neato.
Would you say it is Nito or more Nito Burrito?
I don't even know what that means, but I'll say Nito Burrito.
Nobody knows what it means. But it's
Provocative, yeah.
Gets the people going.
All right, we do have the prize structure here also at the Apex Gaming Season 2 Invitational. 17th through 32nd place are playing for $100. 9th through 16th will earn $250. 5th through 8th place, if you make it in the top 8, you're cashing a cool $500. 3rd and 4th each taking home $700 apiece. Second place, $1,000, and up top, the big prize, first place, $2,000. Not a bad payday. Most of the time when I was playing on the SCG Tour, if I made it to the finals of an event, I was usually splitting with my opponent, and we'd only walk out with about $2,500. So this is a big deal. 2K up top's big number.
That it is. Looks like our players are ready to go. We have given them the signal. Belfado here on the play. Oh, no. Okay. Thought he was on.
Oh, lucky.
Bufado thought he was on the play.
Yeah. Instead, Gemstone
No,
Caverns is getting you. All right, we got Bufado technically on the play. We're gonna go Boblin, see if he has anything to do. But he played Island, so I assume not. Maybe has Spell Pierce, maybe has Spell Snare. Consider.
Looks like a Crashing Footfalls, a second Gemstone Caverns, which is not great.
Maybe the worst draw in the deck, actually.
Yeah. And a Teferi in hand.
Oh, turn 2 Teferi is pretty good, I hear. Especially if Bufado wants to play a threat.
There's a blue card in, or no, is that a Fury? That's Fury,
yes.
Yeah.
Fury, Teferi. I don't know what the others are. I couldn't see. Ragavan is the play from Bufado. And now, my guess has Spell Pierce at the ready because could have dashed the Ragavan. Choosing to prioritize making it a permanent threat instead of having to sink 2 mana and do it every turn. But, you know, more importantly, found the Spirebluff Canal off the top, and maybe it was actually lacking that red mana.
Potentially. But if you are on winning side, you gotta suspect the Spell Pierce. You really don't want to lose the Teferi to it, though. How much can you really play around it?
Yeah, you gotta do what you gotta do. All right, we're gonna shuffle up and then go back Winnen's Way. This is the 3rd land drop of the game for him, probably, but only turn 2 thanks to the lucky Gemstone Caverns. I say lucky not because Winnen's is exceptionally lucky. This is not complaining. It literally gets a luck counter. It says it on the card.
Originally dubbed Unlucky Man's Paradise.
Really? I never heard that. That's funny.
That was the submission from the person who designed it.
Oh, cool. All right. Well, we do have Breeding Pool, so that will unlock the 3rd land for the Teferi. Let's see if he wants to go for it. Doesn't look like he has a whole lot else going on. Triome and Gemstone tapping for all 5 colors means that any land we play allows us for 3 mana for Teferi.
Hey, Spell Pierce check.
Huh!
Alfada's got
See
it.
ya!
Now there's not much left for Ryan Winnens here, and this Ragavan is going to start running away with the game.
All right. Crunching in for 2. We're going to get a top card of the deck. We're going to get a treasure token, and we'll see what Bufado can do.
This next turn is going to be a big one for Winnens because on the 2 turns from now, he's got potentially the Fury Hardcast. 3 turns from now, he's got the Crashing Footfalls coming off the suspend. But if he does nothing on this next turn, it might not matter. Bufado might be too far ahead.
Mm-hmm. All right. Pass back at the turn. Bufado with 4 mana at the ready, one of which is an Otawara. Winnens picks up a Fire Ice. Going to deploy Breeding Pool, and we'll see when he wants to do the Fire Ice. My guess is inside combat.
Decides to play the Breeding Pool tapped, so we'll run afoul of a second Spell Pierce here, but
does have the 5th mana source, but I don't think he has the 2nd red for the Fury. Spell Snare going to take it down, even though it technically has a total mana value of 4 when it's in your hand. When it's on the stack and you choose one, it does have a mana value of 2, so Spell Snare, a clean answer there.
It's a difference between the mana value of a card and the mana value of a spell.
Right. Now, Bufado gets another treasure, reveals Violent Outburst. Could just cast it and then get a random 2 or 1 drop off the top.
Yeah, the value here is tempting, but I think there are too many bricks if you hit any sort of counter spell. So that to me is a trap off the Ragavan.
Well, Matt just not have anything else to do.
You
know, it's a free card. You're gonna hit a bolt. Bolt you.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean a bolt's a bolt. Any bolt in a storm. Pass back Winnen's Way. See if he can pick up the 2nd red source. Finds another Fury. Not gonna be
great to have to pitch both of them to deal with the Ragavan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I believe it's 2 Gemstone Caverns in Winnen's list, and drawing both of them is tough.
It's especially for... Ooh, that's gonna die immediately.
Yep, exactly 2 caverns.
Yeah, the problem is the Gemstone Caverns is legendary, but the other problem is that when it's unlucky, when you draw it or play it naturally, it doesn't tap for any color. It only taps for colorless. So no 2nd red, and the land dies. Unfortunate for Winnens.
Yeah, gotta make sure you float with the first one.
I didn't do anything with the mana anyway.
Yeah.
Doesn't really matter.
Here it doesn't make a difference.
Taking 2 more. This Ragavan crunched in. How's that feel? Just hitting with a Ragavan.
Oh, it feels pretty good.
Yeah.
Finds the Crashing Footfalls on top. That's no help.
Oh, Murk. Gonna play this thing for 3 mana, exiling the graveyard, giving it 3 more counters.
And that's a 2-turn clock.
Yep.
So at this point, I'm not even sure these Rhinos matter.
All right, let's see if Winans can pick anything up. So if we are able to draw a red source, we can cast 1 Fury. We could pitch a Fury and then also play a Fire Ice or Dead Gone to kill the Murktide Regent. Seems like a lot of resources to kill a big guy, but what are you going to do? You're going to lose otherwise.
Yeah. Well, if we draw... So we can take 1 hit from this and go to 4. If we draw a red source and a red card... Okay, well, that's pretty good at just bouncing Murktide Regent.
Yeah, and it's pretty hard to cast, so it seems reasonable to go for. Now, if it's possible the Belfado had counterspell, but recognize that the Rhinos were inconsequential compared to just protecting the Murktide.
Yep.
But we'll see if it gets countered here. It gets bounced. Okay.
No counterspell.
Still some life left in Ryan.
Okay.
Going back Belfado's way. Let's see what the draw is. A red card. It looks like a Dragon Race Channeler. I know there's a backup Ragavan Chilling. I'm going to play the Darcy. And that Murktide region is locked in hand for a little while. No graveyard. Bolt Face. We're going to mill 1 with the Darcy. Just going to go to the grave. Just a Misty Rain. You know what Belfado actually could have cast the Murktide this turn. It was actually interesting. So if you attack with Rogman, one of the Rhinos blocks. That's another card in the graveyard. That with the treasures plus the bolt cleans up a Rhino and lets you play 4/4 flying Murktide. That is perhaps going to run afoul of the Fury, but might have been a good tempo play. Here, though, we're going to fetch. Winnen's going to go get a red source, and that Fury is coming down. If you're Belfado here, do you think you're just dead if you don't have counterspell? I mean, seems like a pretty bad spot.
Yeah, it's not looking good, though. Winnen's, because of the Misty Rain Forest, has to shock.
Mm-hmm.
That could open up some window for Belfado to steal this game, but it appears that Winnens has stabilized. Belfado unable to find the counter spells to lock this one up.
Yeah, actual counterspell would be so good in spots like this, and it's one of the reasons why Murktide deck's so strong. But man, that Fury just getting hard cast here. You're taking 8 to the face. To the face!
And now it's lethal next turn.
Yeah. We have the ability to play Murktide now, and maybe trade with a Rhino.
Yeah, Murktide would only be a 4/4.
Yeah.
If we could make a 5/5 Murktide, then we could block a Rhino, take 10, and have lethal. If Winnens has nothing, though he has the second Fury.
We don't know about the second Fury, though. All right, so we're going to delve. It's only going to make a 4/4. The Ragavan can chump block the Fury. 1 Fury going to kill the Murktide. And then we're going to take 8 down to 4. I mean...
Yeah, and then not really have anything left.
Yeah.
You could iteration into 2 bolts.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know if he's Archmage Charming, but similar Archmage Charming to 2 bolts. 2 bolts is the way to do it, and then some way to find them. Here's another Fury. Belfado with just Spell Snare in hand. Oh, and the draw for the Bauble, I forgot. Found a Ledger Shredder. Murktide down.
That's a little late for Shredder.
Here comes a lethal attack. Force block from Ragavan. We're going to pick it up Belfado, not thinking about the potential double bolt off of iteration.
It's a pretty slim out.
Yeah, but
especially since he only has 3 bolts in the deck.
Okay. Well, had he already cast at least 1, I know. So, okay, whatever.
Yeah, quick turnaround on that game from Ryan Winnens. Looked like Belfado had control of that game, but really the dead gone off the top is what turned it around, and we found out that Belfado really didn't have much back. So one good top deck was really all that Winnens needed to turn that around.
So what you're saying is Sir Mix-a-Lot came in and asked Belfado if he had any back, and he said, "Baby, I ain't got it."
I guess that's a pretty labored reference, but okay.
Yeah.
Looking at their sideboards.
Okay, all right.
Ryan Winnens has 2 copies of Endurance on the board, which are the 3rd and 4th in the 75, 2 Unmoored Ego, 4 Force of Vigor, 4 Mystical Dispute, 2 Blood Moon, and a 3rd Gemstone Caverns. The Caverns definitely not coming in on the play, but I do like the Disputes and the Endurances. Endurance a nice one in this matchup. Can ambush a Dragon's Rage Channeler or a Rogavan.
Yeah.
Holds off Shredder pretty well, and then holds off Murktide from even entering the battlefield. So you want to use your Endurances aggressively.
I agree.
It has a lot of value as a 3/4 on the battlefield, and you're just trying to stall those Murktides because you got plenty of answers for them. You just need to line them up. And then
it also dodges Bolt too, and with Bolt being one of the 2 removal spells in the deck, like sometimes a 3/4 is just like too much to overcome on like a dry battlefield.
Yep. And then looking at Belfado's sideboard, we've got 1 Fury, 2 Brotherhood's End, 2 Mystical Disputes, 1 Abrade, 1 Flusterstorm, 2 Unlicensors, 2 Engineered Explosives, 3 Blood Moon, and a Dress Down. Definitely like the EEs. Definitely like the Flusterstorm. Beyond that, it's not great.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. The sideboards in Modern just have like a huge price on every single card, basically, because there's so many different decks.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of those decks utilize a lot of the same cards, your Sagas, your Heats, your Dragon Rage Channelers, Pitch Elementals, but many of them use those tools in wildly different game plans, and they're susceptible to wildly different sideboard cards. So
yeah, you can also bring in the Blood Moons here, a little bit better against the 4-color version of Rhinos than just Teamer. There's no basic planes in the deck. It's just a forest and an island. So you would make Leyline Bindings uncastable. Ardent Plea, you would make Endurance possible to hard cast. Same with
how many
Fairy.
basics
From
the Rhinos?
Just a forest and an island.
Okay, so tough sledding if Belfado does want to go for the Blood Moons, and without a ton of playable options, I'm curious what he's trying to get out of the deck for me.
I am a lot more inclined to bring in Blood Moon on the play.
Okay.
Because you can cast it before a Cascader is cast, than being on the draw. So I think on the play here, I like him, but leave him out for game 3, should we get to that point.
A long time ago, I didn't know who Belfado was, and at one point he won an Open. And I believe he won the Legacy Open. I top 8'd in Columbus in like 2012 or 2013.
Sick brag.
And Jerry Thompson, after he won, was like, "Oh yeah, that's Belfado, Secret Master." Yeah. Whenever Jerry calls you Secret Master, that's a huge compliment. So, with Belfado going 6-0 at the Pro Tour Unlimited, I have to imagine that deck selection is one of his weak points, similar to me. I like playing what I like to play. I don't like playing the best deck.
Well, Belfado's playing the quote-unquote best deck here,
Yeah.
and it's going pretty well. So
is it weird that I just don't like playing Murktide?
it is.
It is kind of weird, but I feel like it's almost like cheating. You have too many good cards. Like, I like struggling to win my games. And Murktide Region is just like this big, dumb, idiot one-card combo,
I like playing Flame Slash.
Yes, I love Flame Slash. I used to play Flame Slash in Modern, and it was great.
Yeah, so did I.
All right, both players here shoveling up, almost ready for game number 2. Let's see if there's any mulligans.
It's a different time, Todd.
Yeah. I don't think... here's the situation where I wish they would get a little more aggressive with reprints into Standard. There are a lot of cards that I think are essentially outdated, obsolete in Modern, but could find a great home in Standard, or, find a more permanent home in Pioneer. Like, I love... the Liliana the Veil reprint recently I thought was a huge deal. It didn't make as big of a splash as I thought, but it's starting to come back a little bit more in the Rakdos decks, which I like. And that's the type of thing you could do with a card like Flame Slash, Firebolt, these middling removal spells that are just completely invalidated by Unholy Heat.
Yeah, I think we'll definitely see a lot more of that in the future because Pioneer is picking up. Looking at these opening hands, I think Winnen's taking a mulligan on a relatively weak one-lander. Don't have a great look on Belfado's hand. I do believe that's a Scalding Tarn at the front of it. One of those weirdo Scalding Tarns from, I don't know, something. And, but does like his hand. So big thing here for Winnens is going to be, do you have a Dead Gone to answer the turn 1 Rogavan while on the draw? And no Dead Gone here, but it does look like a solid hand. We got a Dispute. We got some Cascaders. And enough lands to operate, so probably a forced keep and just cross your fingers that there's no Rogavan on turn 1 for Belfado.
I don't know what it is, man, but every time I play against a Rogavan, I'm dead. Right? I don't have the answer. But every time I play Rogavan, they have the 4 prismatic endings. It's tough.
Maybe have you tried Mulligan?
I mean, I have turn 1 Rogavan. Why would I have Mulligan?
No, I mean when you don't have the answer.
Oh, it's a blind matchup. I don't know what I'm playing against most of the time.
It's modern, Todd.
Okay, that's fair. That's a fair point.
It's not that blind.
Yeah. Look, sometimes my hand is like Express Federation, Counterspell, Lightning Bolt.
Consider.
That's good.
Okay.
How do you mulligan a hand?
Looks like
with
a mulligan of
Consider?
5 here from winning, so that's gonna make it tougher. And okay, not Rogovan. It's a DRC turn 1 for Bofado.
Yeah, we can
There's a
beat
Fire
that.
Ice.
He drew that card like he was
Yeah.
looking for Terminus.
It looks like Winans just kept 3 lands, 2 Shardless Agents. He knows what his deck's about.
Love it. Here's Darcy. Trigger from the bobble. Bofado looks at the top. Decides to keep it there. Gonna go ahead and bobble. Look at Winan's top of the deck. Interesting situation to use because it's like 90+% or whatever that the Wood of Hills is gonna get cracked. So we're having a little bit of information leak. Winan's gonna crack.
Yeah, I think Bofado just really wants access to that top card.
Sure, but he could just like say, I guess if Winans just chooses not to fetch, you just get immediately punished, right? That's fair. Bofado is a big brain. Bordering on Giga. Alright, we find Xander's Lounge. Gonna go back to Winan's Way. Now his hand has Fire Ice in it, so he might be able to use it to kill the Darcy. Let's see if Bofado remembers the bauble now. He does. Alright. Winan's draw. Picks up a Misty Rainforest 4th land. Not that big of a deal. Not really what you want. We're going to go for Fire Ice here probably at some point, but you want to make sure that the Darcy doesn't get Delirium first. Ooh, maybe a big misstep. We're going to put Odoar in the graveyard. Consider's going to resolve.
So that's 3/4 of the way to Delirium for that Dragon's Rage Channeler.
Maybe he's trying to save it, you know? Maybe he doesn't care much about the Darcy. He cares way more about Rogovan, you know? And now we have
There it is.
Delirium. It's too late. Needed to kill it now. And you got to look at the look on his face is like, I messed up. I messed up. Well, could be going for Ice, actually, to maybe make the Cascade spells resolve.
Yeah, that would make a lot of sense. I think that's a little bit more important than preventing a bit of damage. You're going to win the race,
Yeah.
especially with the extra bodies from these 2 Shardless Agents.
All right, well, he kind of gave away the goat here. He made the DRC on tap. He was considering doing the Ice on it, but decides not to. And now Bofado has to know that Ice is coming, and if he has Counterspell, just not going to tap either of the fetch lands, right? And here's a Rogovan. That's a nice follow-up. We'll see if Winans wants to go for a tap, but now he'll probably just do Fire 1/1 on the Rogovan in face.
Yeah, the Ice is pretty much not a relevant play at this point. Might as well just get that monkey off the battlefield.
Yeah, that thing's scary too, especially if your Cascade spell gets countered. But you have a Shardless Agent actually to block the Rogovan, so maybe Icing was still correct.
Bofado there instantly bins the monkey. He doesn't really put any thought into it. Could suggest has no counter spell. Could suggest he knows he needs to save it.
Yeah, I guess it's the latter. And now maybe as a fear of Blood Moon, might go ahead and fetch main phase with the Misty Rainforest to go get a second basic. Had the option to play a different land, but went here for this one. Bofado going to respond to that fetch to go get some blue sources. And he's doing this because he's probably wanting to fetch during the end step anyway, or at least some point in the next turn cycle. And this at least makes it so that no Violent Outburst can be played in response to him fetching. And so now it's up to Winans to dictate the next stage of the game.
Yeah, Bofado being very patient here. He's got his threat down. Needs to now line up his answers against his opponent's threats while he rides this Dragon's Rage Channeler. This is where understanding of the matchup, you know, being able to read the texture of the game and perform the sort of instantaneous threat evaluation. Okay, you know, this, you know, card, maybe Fury is important or a Cascader is important, but an Endurance less important. Things like that.
All right, well, here comes the Shardless Agent. That's going to start doing some cascading. And then...
What is it going to hit, Todd?
I don't know. Could hit anything.
It's different every time.
Perhaps sighted in something else to hit, you know? I've seen people do Burnt and Fortuner before.
And immediately meets a counter spell. Belfado surveils, likes what he sees on top.
Yeah, it's good news for Belfado, bad news for Ryan. The Crashing Footfall is countered, but Charlotte's Agent sticks. Luckily, DRC flies over.
I see an expressive iteration in Belfado's hand, so yeah, immediately goes to cast that. Trying to find yet another answer. Surveil off DRC, doesn't like a land.
Normally, you want to find a land off expressive iteration, but he probably has a land rolled up and is looking for something to play. Looks like he's going to play Ragavan, and he finds Flusterstorm too. So if he has another red source for the Ragavan, he's able to Flusterstorm and put pressure down. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah, there it is.
All right, gonna shot to Steam Vents.
Shock to 15, and now we've got plenty of threats. I think I see an Unholy Heat in Belfado's hand.
Back Winnen's way. Draws Temple Garden for
turn. What is
turn.
that top card in Belfado's hand? Is that a Dispute?
I believe Mystical Dispute.
Yeah. So Flusterstorm, Unholy Heat, Dispute back for Belfado. Is, pretty solid. Couple counter spells and a removal spell when you got 2 threats on the battlefield. No, Ryan Winnen's life total is quickly dropping. This DRC is just a 3-turn clock with him at 9 life.
Yeah, and every time you draw a Lightning Bolt 2, it constricts the clock by a turn. All right, Winnens, what's your decision? You gotta play Boseiju. Interesting. Maybe it has Dead Gone too. I didn't see that until just now. So let's go for a Cascade. It could be anything. Casino Royale.
Yeah. Flusterstorm that.
All right. Storm triggers.
Does Winnens want to dead gone this Ragavan or potentially save it to bounce a Murktide? Maybe even bounce it as a DRC.
Yeah.
Or kill the DRC in combination with an Endurance.
Or Fire Ice or something. Yeah, I don't know. It's tough. I'd probably just blast the Ragavan and attack.
I think I would just attack and still hold the spell. Then if they don't block, untap, kill your untapped Shardless, then you can go to kill.
I feel like that just kind of walks into counterspell, removal spell combos. I don't know. I don't like giving my opponents the chance to interact with me in spots that they might not normally be able to protect from on the next turn. But the value of Dead Gone is pretty high considering Murktide's so strong, but you're so far behind that I think it just doesn't matter. But he is going to go for your play, and if Belfado has a way to stop it, it's going to be immediately punished.
Belfado does have the Dispute, so we'll see if he decides that this is worth using the Dispute on.
I mean, I would. You get the mana, you get a free, a look at a card, but looks like he's just going to let it go. I mean, he has the option to counter the next thing, and the Darcy is a pretty significant clock on its own.
I think if Winnens was at 8 and you were getting him down to 3 with that play, I'd be in for it.
Nice.
Oh, so takes the Dispute down against some things. And that's another land from Winnens, so the 2 DRCs represent lethal. We are headed
to the deciding game.
Yeah. I saw the immediate update, and I was confused. I thought maybe I had missed a game in there.
No, we just have really good spotters.
Yeah, they were quick on the draw that time.
All right, so both players are going to go back to the drawing board looking for answers. I'm going to shuffle up here for game number 3, but while they do that, do we have a player slide? I think we have a player slide. No, we don't have a player slide, but we do have 3 wonderful sponsors I want to shout out. Thanks to Ultimate Guard for providing a bunch of cool swag for our players. G Fuel Energy Formula for keeping our players energized. And last but not least, thanks to Wings Etc. for providing good food and fun for us while we're here in Caldwell. Shout out to the Huck Bros for bringing us out. Ross, tell me what you think about coming to Caldwell, man. Tell me what you think about Apex Gaming.
I have enjoyed it every time I've come up here. I was crushed to not be able to be here last month.
You got the Rona.
Yeah, and very happy to be here this month to cap this season 2 and see how this tournament is growing. Because our very first tournament here was the season 1 invitation.
Right.
So we've now seen a full season and watched how things have expanded from where they were when we first got here. And they're only going to keep getting bigger and better from here.
Yeah, I'll tell you this. I walked into the room this morning, and my man Kyle, the big wig, he was standing at the door with just the biggest grin on his face. And I look at him, I'm like, it's gonna be a good day, man. He goes, yeah, what do you think I got in the smile?
And it's going to be a good day for some of our competitors vying for quite a chunk of cash.
Yeah, let's get that cash graphic up on here, man. This is a big deal. This is a $10,000 invitational. First place, $2,000, Ross. What can you do with $2,000? You could essentially buy like 1,500 double cheeseburgers from McDonald's.
Or you can get a lot of wings at Wings Etc.
That's true. How many wings can you get at Wings Etc. for $2,000? You got. I need you to know. I need you to know the answer all the time.
If you go in on Monday or a Thursday, they're on special for 69 cents a piece.
Nice.
So you do the math, but
you do the math, Ross. Literally, 69 cents. 2,000 wings. Or sorry, $2,000 buys a lot of wings at 69 cents a piece. I'll tell you that much. Second place, $1,000. Third and fourth, each receiving $700. Fifth through eighth, nice payday, $500. 9th through 16th, still getting pretty hefty sum, $250. And the top 32 all cashing for $100. That is the prize payout here for this 10K Invitational. You did have to play on the Apex Gaming Invitational series over the course of the last 9 months in order to qualify. Many stores are in the fold, but the 3 that came to hang out today and to vend, I want to say shout out to Titan Gaming. That's TAITAN Gaming from Pennsylvania. Clutch Gaming from Ohio, and Warpgate also from Ohio. Check out those stores, and shout out to them and all the other stores that ran tournaments on the Apex Gaming Invitational Series. But we are here for game number 3. Ryan Winans did get defeated in that game number 2, so he's going to be on the play. Starting off with Temple Garden. Not a whole lot of green and white plays here on turn 1, but shocking. So guess what that means.
Got your answer, Don.
Crushing footballs!
It's 2,898 wings.
Nice. At 69 cents a piece. That's a lot of wings. It's a lot of wings. Oh, heck yeah. Thanks, Dingo, for the raid. Appreciate you. We've been getting a lot of raids today. Shout out to the Magic community for hooking us up. These tournaments are always fun to do, and it always helps when people I know personally are just like throwing hundreds of viewers our way. So big shout out to everyone who's done that. Thank y'all so much.
Ryan Winans here with the leadoff suspend crashing footfalls. We've seen that a few times earlier today from other Rhinos players. It has rarely gone well for them, but unlike them, Ryan Winans does have an answer to a turn on Ragavan.
Yeah. Zip zap. Gel pudding.
Decides to play around a counterspell, not play around a second Ragavan. I think that is wise in this position. Though I do think there is a second Ragavan here from Belfado to punish him.
All right. Well, Belfado draws for turn. Looks like a Mystical Dispute has at least Steam Vents Ragavan. Decides to go with a Polluted Delta, and he's going to play Ragavan and pass the turn back. Takes down on the Crashing Footfalls, coming off in a couple more turns, but has the ability to just start slamming. Here comes Shardless Agent. Does Belfado have the Flusterstorm or Spell Pierce? We're going to flip until we find Crashing Footfalls.
Or any other spell that costs...
Or any spell that costs
less than
3. That's true.
Could be something else.
Could be anything else. Well, we do have access to the deck list. We could check. What about... Can you explain to me why Fire Ice doesn't get caught in the Cascade chain?
Well, the card has a mana value of 4 because there's both fire and ice on the card.
But when I flip it over, it does have fire and ice on the card. It's a 2-mana spell right there on the card.
2-mana spell, but 4-mana card.
All right, well, that answers that. Belfado going to be fetching up an island here. That means likely has the answer. Or is casting Consider in a desperation attempt to find a Force Negation, but I don't think he's playing it.
This could be a dispute on the Shardless Agent itself. That would allow an Engineered Explosives to clear up the rest for this Ragavan.
Ooh. And that is exactly what's going to happen. Good call on Ross. Now, that will require probably taking 8 so that you could clear out both of the Crashing Footfalls. Here come those cute little Rhino tokens we saw in game number... Actually, we saw those last round. I don't know if we've seen them yet. Maybe all got countered or killed from Belfado. Here comes a Consider.
What do we find?
Fury's going to bin it. Okay.
Yeah, I think using 2 cards to deal with 1 Rhino is not good enough here.
That's fair.
Doesn't look like there's an explosives there, so these Rhinos are going to be a problem.
Yeah. All right, Steven says the play tapped, which means that the turn is essentially over. Belfado could like attack and offer Ragavan plus Bolt Trade. I don't think blocking is that good, but I do believe Winans would block with a Rhino.
You see a Blood Moon in Belfado's hand, and recall I said I like that card on the play, not so much on the draw, and here it looks pretty bad on the draw.
Yeah, well, most games of Magic look pretty bad on the draw, so bing, bang, boom, checkmate. Here comes a smash for 8. Winans gonna main phase. An Endurance that's gonna eat the graveyard from Belfado. That's gonna turn off here. Murktide Regent. Yeah, that's a good play. Heads up from Winans.
Yeah. Get the pressure on, limit your opponent's ability to counterplay. That's exactly what the Endurance does. Okay, I'll suspend another Footfalls. I got a lot of Rhinos, so even if Belfado finds a way to get out of the 2 Rhinos on the battlefield, the 2 Rhinos that are coming next turn, and this Endurance, there's even more coming.
Packs it in. Belfado can't handle the Rhinos. Didn't draw the EE. And Winans 5-0. That's a nice record in a 7-round Swiss event.
Yeah,
say.
Going to be looking to double draw, but that might be tricky because we got a lot of players that have already taken a draw, and that makes it a little bit more difficult. So
no, for sure.
He'll see how the standings check out after this round, and but regardless, very strong chance of making it into our top 8.
Actually, Ross, I think you mean irregardless.